Hey, welcome to another episode of the Deal Making Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Del Real, and this is the place to be if you want to know what the real estate market is doing. On this show, you could expect to hear about different events that impact real estate, both on the national, global, and local level. We talk about deals that are happening in the local Merced real estate market. Our goal is to provide as much value as we possibly can to you as an investor so you can make your real estate goals happen. We believe that real estate is a great vehicle for building wealth, facilitating personal and professional growth, and also providing freedom and options. You can find us on social media and also online at delrealcre.com. Look for a link in the comments or description. Go to the website. We're loading up the website with all kinds of valuable real estate resources. You can find things like links to our YouTube page, podcast episodes. We have an online newsletter called the Deal Making Digest, and you can also get answers to your real estate questions. So if you have a question, click a button. That question will get to us, and we'll respond to it either via text, email, or possibly on future podcast episodes. So go check that out, delrealcre.com. All right, so today we're starting a series called Everything You Need to Know About Completing a 1031 Exchange. This will be a three-part series. We're going to be focusing on what is a 1031 exchange and why it could be right for you. Last week, I had the opportunity of helping one of our clients close a deal. Had the opportunity to work with Matthew Madruga with EXP and also Mary Camper with London Properties. Shout out to them. So our client's a doctor, and he first started his practice back in 1989. And so the building that he sold is the building where he first started his practice. And so there was some sentimental, feelings attached to the building. He had just, things have changed. His practice has changed. No longer was occupying the building. So it was an investment property. He hired us to help him do a 1031 exchange out of that building and to find the replacement property. That was our job, was to help him specifically with finding the replacement property. Some of the things that we're talking about today, these aren't just concepts. These are actual deals that we're doing. So we're going to share a little bit about that. So today we're going to be talking about 1031 exchanges. What is a 1031 exchange? A 1031 exchange or like-kind exchange is a provision in the IRS tax code that allows investors to defer paying capital gains taxes when they sell investment property. They can reinvest the proceeds into another new like-kind investment property. Some jargon or words to know when completing a 1031 exchange: the property that's currently being sold by the investor is called the relinquished property or down leg. The new like-kind property that's being acquired is called the replacement property, or sometimes is referred to as the up leg. I mentioned we have our new online newsletter that launched. It's called the Deal Making Digest. Everything that I'm going through here, if you prefer to read or would like to have a written copy for reference, you can find this online. Again, go to delrealcre.com. Make sure you subscribe to the Deal Making Digest, and you'll get access. You'll have a copy of this for reference. This is something that you need to know if you own investment property and are considering selling at some point, or if you're thinking about, holding on to it versus selling and you're worried about taxes. When you think about taxes, I was having a discussion with someone earlier about amending taxes, filing taxes from last year, and it got me thinking back to when I first started filing taxes, when I was 18, 19, maybe, is when I, first started to, was required to file taxes. And when I first started, I would file my own taxes. I would meet with someone at H&R Block or something like that. Later would do them online. Over the years, things changed. Our family, I got married, started to have kids. We later incorporated and we have a business, and, the tax situation looks completely different today. So I no longer do my own taxes. I have a professional that helps me do that. Lorelei Stapp is really, really good if you're looking for someone. But, I remember both when I was 18, 19, and then also, really every year, there's always this feeling in the back of my mind where, we're getting ready to file and I'm not sure, hey, am I going to have to pay taxes? Is there a tax liability? There's that feeling in the back of my mind where I know if I have to pay taxes, it could hurt. I'm not going to be excited about it. I don't feel great about paying taxes or having to pay taxes. On the flip side, there are many years where there is no tax liability. And my wife, Victoria, and I, we have 4 kids. And so over the years, we've had the benefit and we've been lucky enough to be in a position where, because, we're paying taxes as we're going, and also because of the kids, we would actually get a check back and there was no tax liability. And so that feels really good. If you're selling real estate, it's those same kind of feelings, but amplified, because now you're talking about hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars potentially, is the size of the sale. So if you have to pay taxes on $1 million, couple $1 million, you could be talking about potentially $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in taxes. If there was a way to avoid that, isn't that something that would kind of make sense to look into? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's look at 6 reasons why completing a 1031 exchange could be right for you. And so the first reason, you can defer taxes. So we just talked about that. If you've built up equity in your property over years and years and years, and now it's time to sell, you have the option to pay now. You can pay those hundreds of thousands in taxes, or you can do a 1031 exchange and defer or delay paying taxes on that sale. Every investor is going to be in a different position. Largely, the factor that's going to help decide if it makes sense or not is going to be what's called your investment time horizon, which simply means how much time do you have until you need access to the funds. And so, if you're young, if you have 20, 30 years until, let's say, you're going to use the proceeds for retirement, and you have a lot of time, it very well may make sense to complete a 1031. You defer the taxes. Instead of paying taxes on the sale, you can use that money to continue to grow, or rather use that money to invest into a property and then continue to grow the equity rather than tap out. If, let's say, you're older and you want to enjoy using the equity that's built up in the property now, and you're not worried about 40 years, maybe you want to use that over the next 5 to 10 years, well, then maybe it makes sense just to sell and use the money, but definitely consult your tax person. The second reason is there's greater purchasing power. So if you're taking the equity that's in the property and you're leveraging it, you can use that to go buy property that you otherwise might not be able to buy. So you have greater purchasing power with the 1031 exchange. Number 3, you can improve cash flow. So every property has different characteristics, and some produce more income than others. When considering a sale, the potential exists to exchange into a property that provides greater cash flow than your existing property. 4, greater appreciation potential. When deciding to purchase, hold, or sell investment property, it's important to consider how the value of the asset will grow over time. So when you look at the appreciation potential and you compare that to the potential of other alternatives in the marketplace, just remember, not all investments perform the same. There could be opportunities out there that have greater appreciation potential. 5, freedom from joint ownership. Investment partnerships or joint ownership makes sense for some seasons, but things change in life. If a real estate partner's goals have changed and they're no longer aligned, a 1031 exchange could be a great solution that allows partners to move in different directions. And that's part of what happened with this property that we just sold. There were 3 investors that were in this partnership. They first established this partnership 35 years ago, something along those lines, and they wanted to go in different directions. So 2 of the partners went separate ways. The partner that we helped went in another direction, and we helped him find his up leg or his replacement property. 6, estate planning for heirs. The 1031 exchange can be used in estate planning by leveraging what's called the stepped-up basis rule. The stepped-up basis rule allows for the new property owner to inherit the property, avoid paying capital gains tax, and the property's tax basis is adjusted to market value. All right, now that we introduced the concept of the 1031 exchange and we've explored reasons why a 1031 exchange could make sense, the next step is for us to get into the nuts and bolts of the 1031 and unpack exactly how a 1031 exchange works. So join us next week. We're going to get into that in part 2 of this series. Go to our website so you could get links to the Deal Making Digest online newsletter, our YouTube channel, You can find us on social media, but make sure you follow us. Again, our goal is to add as much value as we can to you, the investor, and equip you with what you need so that you know what the market is doing and you can make your real estate goals happen. Thanks for taking time to watch with us, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.